locked up somewhere, but it is available, and you can take much better data-based decisions, and you must, because really you must use the data which is available. And one thing which came out from, not so much from the interviews with the CEOs, but from some further discussions, is that generative AI is certainly here to stay. While there are challenges, there are also huge opportunities in this space, and even in the education process, for using it in improving pedagogy, for using it for improving the pre-class and post-class learning experience. These are all areas I think we all need to work on. ESG is something we've been talking about since yesterday, so I should just underline that this is very important. It's no longer a nice to have thing, it's something which you must have. Just to give you a simple example, in the Paris Accord, countries came together and made commitments about emission targets. In some countries, there has now been brought down to company level targets. The country level target has been broken up. So if you are working in any of those companies, those emission targets are real and they are governing your life. Similarly, even if you are a company in India and you don't have stringent environmental laws, if you are supplied to a company in Europe, your emissions are going to be part of their scope 3 emissions when their emissions are counted. So you are going to be very much a part of their calculus. You will have to embrace ESG thinking much earlier. Of course, ESG is a complicated area. You will have real business dilemmas. You will have to deal with them. Incidentally, one thing which came out very clearly from the CEOs is that ethics and integrity is even more important than before. So I think you should just underline that and not ignore that at all. Finally, and last but not the least, what's important, some of the core things are not changing all that much. Communication continues to be important, not SMS style or WhatsApp style, but still writing a full page of, say, a justification for a business case, still important in most large companies. You need to be able to make a brief and precise note. You need to be able to speak up clearly. You need to be able to address open-ended problems and challenges, and I think that came out from Amy's presentation as well. Critical thinking, complex problem solving, etc. But one thing which we don't spend so much time on in business schools, but is increasingly important, is understanding how government works and how you can work with government. And understand how to take best advantage of the policies and the other kind of support measures that governments are taking. So just understanding how government functions is perhaps critical for the manager of tomorrow. Last but not the least, there is this whole business of business acumen. And I would just like to underline this because increasingly I'm very concerned about this. Personal well-being is critical to being an effective manager. So it's very important that all of you guys should incorporate very strong physical health, mental health, all dimensions of holistic health. You choose whatever method you want. If yoga is what suits you, it's fine. If something else, you have some other better method, choose that. I didn't see too many people jogging on campus this morning. You have a beautiful campus, you should be out there jogging and getting some exercise. I think that's very almost essential if you want to maintain good physical and mental health. And all those things at the bottom are important as well. Emotional well-being, meaning and purpose, and evaluative well-being. So just to give you some ideas of the things we all should be focusing on, but if we are not focusing on, please focus on them for yourself. Thank you.
I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Professor Krishnan. Thank you for gracing us today with your presence. We appreciate the wealth of knowledge and experience you have shared with us. Your commitment to advancing our collective understanding is truly commendable. I now request Professor Mahoday Jaiswal to felicitate Professor Rishikesh T. Krishnan.
very positive note. So I'm grateful that he has been helping us as a not only the director but also as a friend. And we look forward for his continuous support and guidance to grow this IIM Sambalpur in all fronts. We are ready with our infrastructure, physical and intellectual. Now we have to get into action. And today's world, as he mentioned about collaborations, all the IIMs have to collaborate together, and all IIMs will also collaborate with industries. We have some stalwarts sitting here from PwC, from many other industries, and also then we have to also collaborate with society. So these are the three components, and also with non-IIMSB schools. So everybody purpose is same, and if you all work together, I think Indian B school will get notice in the international forum. That is what is the objective of all of us. So Rishi, thank you very much for your coming here. Although you are extremely busy, but you made a time to come here.
I request the audience to be seated. The next panel will commence soon.
ऑफ कर दूंगा आजा ऑफ कर दीजिए
Professor Sanjay Padode, Chairman, Center of Development Education, JATSA. Professor D.K. Mahalik, Senior Professor, Sambalpur University. Professor Atish Chattopadhyay, Director, JAXON, Bangalore. Professor Vidhu Bhushan Mishra, Vice Chancellor, Sambalpur University. I would now like to call upon stage Professor Sudhindra Rao to welcome the panelists. I would now like to request Dr. Ravi Kumar Jain, the moderator of the session, to open the discussion.
Thank you so much. Day 3 of any conference is very tiring, intellectual overload, and fatigue sets in. Now we have a task on hand to ensure that for next 1 hour we can keep you engaged with the right inputs and maybe try and see if we can strike a conversation. I have a very eminent panel here going to talk about accreditation. Professor Sanjay Padode, Professor Atish Chattopadhyay, and the man himself from EFMD who does EQUIS for Asia, Mr. Jain. And then we have representatives from government university. So you have a private institution, a private university, a B school, and a government institution. I think we'll be able to gather some balanced views on the idea of accreditation. In fact, in the last 1 decade, there has been just like a temple run, we have this accreditation run. Universities and B schools especially have been rushing for international accreditation, whether it is ASESB or AMBA or EQUIS, and some regionally focused like SAQS or CAA. Now the idea is, if you look at the global landscape, apart from US where the numbers are very big, globally there are 1,100 B schools which are ASCSB accredited, around 600 accredited by EQUIS EFMD, around 300 by AMBA, and SAQS, which is a Asia oriented accreditation, or Asian accreditation, has around 100 plus institutions doing it. Then we have our own homegrown NBA, NAC, and so on and so forth. Now, the fundamental question, especially when we are talking about institutions that are like that of IIMs, what has changed before the accreditation and after the accreditation? What value delivery it brings onto the table? IITs, IIMs, and some of the private business schools also have been doing extremely well. In fact, the global talent pool or the talent pool provided by these institutions have shown their mettle for decades across the world. So, what value accreditation brings in? So, I may sound very naive, Nishit, but let me start with you, or let me take chance of okay. So, when you say accreditation, the first very maybe it sounds very naive. How does it help an institution to what we aspire to be? Or why international accreditation when you already have NBA, NAC, and so on and so forth here? Can you throw some light on that?
Sure. Thank you, Ravi, and thank you, Professor Jaiswal, for inviting me, and IIM Sambalpur for having me. It's an honor and privilege to be there. Addressing the fact that how does accreditation change the landscape? I think the biggest aspect is, if I were to go back to the layman terms, is packaging. We have great products, we have great institutions with excellent research, with excellent faculty doing amazing work, but how do we communicate? How do we package? And that's what, if I were to say, accreditation does. It helps you communicate what you do in a structured fashion with a global impact. Why? Because today, what we do as most institutions, we are opportunists. We are growth oriented. So wherever we get an opportunity, we try to jumpstart and we try to do that and we do it well. But then I think what accreditation brings in is a sense of discipline, where to say no. I think as a culture also in Asia, I think we are a lot yes culture. Let's do this. Yeah, let's do this. This is a great opportunity. But I think where do we define that? Because time, energy, resources, whether it is monetary resources, whether it is time, whether it is faculty resources, and even the students. I mean, everybody has limited tenure and time and impact that they can create. So how we can channelize that in a direction such that it creates the maximum impact. So that is one. Two, I would say while you are excellent institutions, particularly IIMs, but then a lot of schools outside there, I mean, if I look at the global landscape, because EFMD being a global organization with about 100 plus countries that we operate in, what is essential that are we able to peg ourselves along with the global majors in the management space? Probably, I think we are there, but there are no evidence, and evidence comes through credentials. So EFMD accreditation provides you that global passport, the global visibility, the global rankings, the global charter, by able to demonstrate that we are benchmarking ourselves against the global best practices, and hence we are there. So that is the second big advantage. And the third, the core piece of EFMD accreditation in particular, is articulating a very strong strategy, enabling you to grow in whatever you define as your core mission. And I was really pleased, I must congratulate IIM Sambalpur, that you have taken the onus of taking your context seriously, which is demonstrated already through some initiatives like Bono and the local artists that you work with and the Center of Arts and Culture. I think that's remarkable. And how we take it further, I think that's what is the strategy we need to demonstrate, and it's going well. Thank you.
Thank you, Nishit. Well articulated. Let me go to the man himself who has gone through the cycle of accreditation, and in a very short span, Jackson and Vijay Bhumi both have emerged as the poster child of this new India's new education and all that. So given what Nishit has suggested, what is your experience of going through the process and as an entrepreneur, as a founder of Jackson and Vijay Bhumi, what is the value that you see And I mean, I will be happy if you can highlight on the cost involved in terms of administration and otherwise.
Thank you, Ravi, and thank you, Professor Jaiswal, for inviting me to IIM Sambalpur. I think from my perspective, firstly, I just want to add to what Nishit said in terms of accreditation. So, accreditation is more about quality assurance. And so I guess the students here know the difference between quality control and quality assurance. So quality control is checking at the outcome level and assurance is at the process level. And so accreditation is more about assurance and it is voluntary in nature. It is not forced. So I don't have to be accredited. I can remain to be unaccredited. If I'm very confident of my processes and I don't need somebody to certify that, I can remain unaccredited. But what's more important is to have the ability to put yourself through a peer review or through a review of your processes. So you are actually inviting various people who are going to judge you on how aligned you are to your mission or how aligned you are toward the work that you're doing. And that requires some courage. And one of the reasons why we did that in Jagdish Seth School of Management, earlier as known as the Institute of Finance or IIM Business School, why we did it is because we made some very, very fundamental changes in the curriculum.
चले तो ये बात हो गई न जाने.
It's actually mandated all the students to do health every twice a week. So they go to the gym thrice a week and that's a criteria.
क्यों उनसे मुलाकात हो गई नजरें ऐसे वो टकरा गई के हमें आशिकी आ गई के हमें आशिकी आ गई यार की दिलकशी भाग गई के हमें आशिकी आ गई. बड़ी दीवानी सी रात थी हुई घनी बरसात थी हवाओं से उलझी वो जुल्फे उन्होंने थाम जोली तो जुल्फे ऐसे वो बिखरा गई के हमें आशिकी आ गई के हमें आशिकी आ गई यार की दिलकशी भाग गई के हमें आशिकी आ गई. आशिकी आ गई.
And Neeta, there is a formula to compute the ROI of education. There is no formula to actually measure the ROI of quality assurance. How do you compute ROI when you are putting yourself on a trajectory, when you're checking yourself every day and trying to figure out whether you are on the right path that you have set out to pursue. And if that path is taking you places, then I think that investment is an essential. It's not a cost. It's an investment. In terms of numbers, I think it's not even worth talking about, because it's a very, very small fraction of what you realize that you should be correctly investing into your institution. So it's an investment made for you to actually figure out where should the money of the institution go. And that is very important, because you can't be investing blindly. So in my view, I think the cost is very little.
I think validation of what we are doing is the key word which I draw from your talk. And yes, there is no ROI or cost when you are validating yourself. Great point. But then there is a interesting rush to have this so-called triple crown. So if you have to validate, fine, ASCSB is giving you nice framework for validation. IPIS give you that, or AMBA gives you that. Fine, you have reservations about how NAC does it. Maybe it can go as an input from this panel to our own agencies as to how they can become more process driven and all that. Or maybe I will draw some views from our friend from Sambalpur University. Atish, let me understand your perspective on why this chase for so-called triple crown. If validation was the only criteria, because almost all these accreditations, international accreditations, if you look at the parameters, they all do the same thing. So why? And what's in there for the faculty and students? I mean, the key stakeholders. We have a student come here, and we will come back to you on how does it affect your decision. Please go.
Thanks, Ravi, and thank you, Professor Jaswal, for this invitation at this important time. I will give you first, I think I will build on these 3 points in terms of quality assurance, number 2 in terms of benchmarking to the global standards, and number 3, which is about what you said, articulation, okay, a strong strategy. The reason why accreditation, I think, is required, I mean, 2 types of institutions in India. I would say there are different types of institutions. Since we are in the IIM, I'm talking about management schools first, these schools. So one are the IIMs, which is publicly funded. Second are the university business schools. The third, the private university business schools, public university, and the third is the public university, private university business schools. And then the fourth are the PhD or AICT institutions. Now, each has got a different way of the way they came up, and there are different challenges. Okay. Now, if we are talking about quality assurance, that's definitely one of the very important facts. But the more important part is that how the accreditations are different, because you talked about the 3 accreditations, AACSB, AFMD, and the AMBA. But also there is the Indian accreditation, which is NAC and NBA. Okay. I think the key difference between the domestic accreditation, which is the Indian accreditation, and the international accreditation lies in the issue of standardization versus differentiation. While the global accreditations like AACSB is mission driven, so each one can carve out their own mission and is delivering on the mission, which means that it is essentially about differentiation. The Indian accreditation standards like NBA is more about standardization. So you pick and you score certain points, and then you get certain level of accreditation. The challenge is that institutions like ours, like those who are in the private space, I'm talking about business school, are mandated to go for accreditation. Like an MBA, if you are in the ICT system, and a NAC if you are in the university system. Whereas I don't think that the IIMs are mandated to either go for an MBA or a NAC. They don't need any such accreditation, correct? Okay. Now the question is, why the IIMs need an accreditation? That is my first question. Okay. I So the reason why you see this rush for accreditation, even in IIM Sambalpur, which is about talking about now 3 I's, my first question is why do you need an accreditation? Probably the pressure from the government is that you need an international ranking. Because this ranking suddenly has become one of the highlight. And as if the Chinese schools are higher ranked, US schools are higher ranked, and Indian schools are not globally ranked. Now, why do the Indian schools need a global ranking? That is also another question. Do we need international students? Answer is no, because we are supposed to cater to to the underserved segment of the society, even the IIM Bangalore, so we don't need international students. Do we need international faculty? Probably not as much. Do we need international placements? No, placement is not our objective, this is our social objective. So we neither need international students, nor we need international faculty, nor we need international placements. Then why do we need international rankings? Okay, and hence, why do we need international accreditation? As far as IIMs are concerned, I have got a very big question, and this is the Pan IIM. The IIM director should consider why they need an international accreditation and international ranking. Now, why I am saying so? Because international accreditation and ranking has created a different pressure on the IIM system. Now, there is a mandate by the government, and also because of the India's population, which is today higher than China, the number of students in each institution is mandated to go up. Correct? Which means that you need more teachers. Now, accreditation requires certain level of research by the faculty to qualify as a faculty, to remain qualified as a faculty, for the maintenance of qualification. Which means there is research pressure. And because of the research pressure, what is happening is, the question that the IIM directors need to ask is, are we converting a good teaching institution into a poor research institution? That's question number one. Okay. First, why we need accreditation at all, or a global ranking at all in IIMs. Number two, are we converting good teaching institutions into poor research institutions? Now, the corollary to that is, if you look at it, and there will be some young faculty sitting over here, and some of my PGP friends who are today's students who would like to become a faculty going forward. Now, first you do a PhD program, which is a very solo effort. All of us have gone through the PhD journey. After that, because of this research pressure, we have created another pressure on our young faculty who are most productive at a younger age, is to remain in a tenure track for 5 years, which IIMs have adopted, a US system, which is to publish in such quality journals to get into the tenure, for the pressure of ranking. Now, this is not for accreditation, this is for ranking. Now, do we need a tenure track in the IIMs? Should our most young, bright faculty spending more time on creating an impact on the viewers of Sambalpur, or they should focus their time and energy in publishing an FT50 journal? That question has to be asked. Okay? So that's my third question. Okay? And the fourth question is, if we look at India, do we need a different approach to our intellectual thought leadership? Because if you look at the West, it is always about personal branding or individual naming. So for Haldi, you have a patent. In India, if you look at the everlasting thought which remains, is the Veda and Upanishad. Who is the author? So by nature, India is about institutional thought leadership. Now today we have started promoting individual thought leadership because of Western influence. So the IIMs need to take a lead whether we should follow the Western model or the Indian model of thought leadership, which is institutional thought leadership. And these are the questions that I want to ask, because this is a forum, which is the Pan IIM forum. And lastly, why do we need, if you have 140 crore plus population, and if you have so many of the good institutions, right now there are 22 Indian institutions which are AACC accredited. do we need to create our own association, which is not mandated by the government, and create our own accreditation standards, which is like a WACSB? This is the question that we can, as a group, come together in a collegial environment to create a peer review mechanism, which is how the international accreditation agencies work. So these are some of thoughts and questions which I have in my mind. Maybe silly, but these are my questions.
Thank you so much, Atish. You have lived up to your notoriety of being contrarian and controversial as always. We sought some answers from you, but you have thrown some questions at us. So Professor Jaiswal and all other IIM directors have to really think about it now. How do we answer that? Now, having said this, a very interesting point that you have brought out, ranking. Because of the ranking pressure, you are getting into the accreditation or accreditation. So what is leading what? Let me go to Nishit and then come back to my panelists here. Nishit, just help us understand. He has raised a valid point. Because of the ranking pressure, you are forced to go for the international accreditation, and the other way is because you are internationally accredited, you are spot in finding your spot on the international ranking. So what leads to what, according to you?
So, in my view, we are the strongest when it comes to our own terrain. And our terrain, if you limit your terrain to India, then yes, we are the best. We excel in everything that we do because we are IIM. We are blessed by the best of the faculty, students, and the legacy of high research, high teaching, and that. The moment you cross borders is when you realize how good or how bad you are, and why this is essential. Today, the challenges that we are looking are no longer limited to the boundaries of the world or the region that you are operating in. You look at sustainability, you look at climate, you look at pollution, you look at the way weather is changing, you look at water, you look at transportation. I mean, the entire SDG goals, you pick up any, these are all interrelated. So, to find global solutions, you need to work with a global audience. Even as graduates, if I were to talk about students, students no longer are working only in the local organizations. They have to have that global mindset. That global mindset can only be integrated into the mindset by bringing global best practices. So, operating in isolation, yes, you could do maybe a couple of years ago, but in today's world, probably not. Even though, every country is today looking at their own interest and demand. But despite that, we are living in an interconnected world. COVID is a classic example. What happened in one part of the world and what happened in the rest of the world. So we need to look at globalization in what we do. And my view, I'm a little bit different from what you said, that ranking should not be the driver. I think the driver is high quality. Now, once you are achieving high quality, if you want to check are you very good quality, is when ranking, application, or any other such processes will come into play. Otherwise, you can continue to say that you're good. And I would second the fact what Sanjay mentioned, that we are coming as outsiders and we are not conquerors. We are conservative people, wherein we work together as a team, trying to identify what are your strengths and helping you nurture them with the global best practices and experience that we bring around from the rest of the parts where we will have seen something. So that's the short answer, I would say, of this thing. And just to address the other point that you highlighted, why different applications? I think every application has its own value. And EFMD prides itself a lot on the qualitative aspect. ACSB is highly quantitative. So, there you have probably numbers in every standard that we talk about. In EFMD, we look at only 5 numbers in the entire game. And rest is all about your qualitative story, strategy, and how you build and put it together with a strong narrative, which is able to communicate who you are and what you want to be. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nishit. Let me turn to Professor Mishra of Sambalpur University, the first generation universities that India got, after independence. Sir, what is your take on, especially from the perspective of NAC, our own homegrown accreditation system, and what is your view on how does it help he has a validation or process, bringing process scientists and all that. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ravi. And at the outset, I must thank my child, Professor Jaiswal, sitting in front of me. We are very close to each other, sitting in the same campus at Sambalpur University for more than years. Thank you, sir, for inviting me to this Pan IIM Conference. Actually, Dr. Ravi has already asked me, it's a great question for me. But I am taking a clue, the way Atis has already given some. My last addition to that is, do we need institutes like IIM and IITs in India? Because we are raising the question of quality versus cost. And again, the most important part we talked about, because I have already given, it's a new generation universities after independence, and government has taken the lead to create such universities across the country. And one such university was established in Sambalpur. At that time, it was completely remote and rural, you can call it. Even today, it's a rural university you can talk about. But the type of impact Sambalpur University has created in Western Odisha, covering more than 10 different districts, where more than 50% of the population is below, you can put it something like disadvantaged class like SC and ST. So that is one of the important issues that we can see that the government's initiative for creating such universities. Now the question comes that the new generation universities, mostly based on technology, they talk about international accreditation and other things. But being a general university, where the focus is creating youth, undergraduate students, what is the impact of this accreditation and the quality assurance, what we talk about, and what journey that Sambalpur University has done over a period of more than 57 years? I can highlight something out of that. When Sarah rightly asked, our homegrown accreditation agency like NAC, I'm just putting a little more, because NAC was not there prior to 2002. It was came into being in 2002. But prior to that, those universities are there. And we talked about in ASC was not there, it came in late 90s, 96 or 97, 94. Prior to that, many of the business schools in the different universities that has come up, we never call them schools, rather call the department. Because science and we do not have engineering, science department like that. So the accreditation, what we talk about in different parameters may not be applicable to a general university, where the student mass are quite general and also quite diverse. So this UGC has a wing, they call it technical education wing, where a university go for opening up a business school in its own campus. First they have to get approval of UGC, and that is the process through which we got our approval in 1987 to open the Department of Business Administration in three important, at that time only three universities in Odisha, all the three universities in Odisha, they got their business management department. That is in 87. But later what has happened, UGC come up with some guidelines for this accreditation, and NAC has came up with difficulty. And the first cycle of NAC accreditation by the state universities in Odisha, they came in 2004. At that time, of course, I joined as a faculty in 87 at local university, so I have seen everything, the entire process. Getting the department, after that the first batch of students and the first batch of faculty, I have seen the journey from that place. So, in early group actually nobody was talking about this quality, accreditation and so on and so forth. But the university has created lots of impact. But if you see, now most of the universities are going for the fourth cycle. In the process, we are going for the fourth cycle. In the fourth cycle, the difference is, and the new guideline that has came up by NAC in 2023 March, it is more transparent, objective based, and where they have defined 7 different criteria, which includes our curriculum, the pedagogy, the teaching learning process, but most important is the outcome, because we are talking today about outcome-based education. And they have also all these things like governance, infrastructure, best practices, uniqueness, everything are the criteria. Where there are two different components. One component part we call the written part, which is submit as an objective based, which needs validation. Like our friends have already given the example of validation. They call it data verification and validation, through which your objective part is done. But that is also peer visit, where it is called qualitative. Because what we say and what we do, there might be some gaps. And we never call them as the auditors, never also call them the reviewers, we call them the peer review. I got the opportunity to visit at least 10 different institutes across the country as the chairman of the peer team for NAC visit. So, what we are looking at, whatever they came, whatever is there, and if at all there is a gap, we are making some suggestions how to make good of that gap. We never talk about anything beyond, because through EEB, it is already validated, because the data are available in terms of back and forth. But on the other side, there is a gap in the practice, we focus on that. But major thing which we try to see, because I have already told, this is a curriculum based on outcome. We define something a program of outcomes and the course outcomes. Because each one of the courses which have been there, take an example of a management program in a university department, whatever courses they have designed, we want to see that how operate the course curriculum is, when the last revision of the curriculum was made, and what are the courses that have been included in that, and what are the outcome of those courses. We try to see all those things. So based on that, because we are focusing both on UG and PG, like Sambalpur University is an affiliated university, having more than 150 affiliated colleges offering undergraduate courses. So everything is included and assessed when the university is going for accreditation. Along with that, what we talk about in the general university, how it helps us in getting NAC accreditation. Of course, in the second cycle, there are a lot of emphasis on getting accreditation because the grant was directly linked with accreditation. Suppose take an example. At that time, Utkal University got an A course, and that has become a graded university with autonomy and everything, and got 100 crores special credit. Sambalpur University got almost like 30 crores because it's something A graded institute. Like that, grant is directly linked with accreditation in the second cycle, but in the third cycle, that linkage has become relatively weaker. Because in the second cycle, we are mostly talking about center of excellence or we are talking about research institutes, these institutes of excellence like that. These are the concepts that institutes have come up. And based on that, the grants were released. And because if you talk about in 2016 or 17, when most of the state universities were going for second accreditation, at that time, only 4 state universities across the country got A cross grade. That's why they have been given graded autonomy. We never compare ourselves to the private institutes or the new generation universities or institutes because our mandate is different, our objectives are different, our PhD is also for a different purpose. So, one of the important things when we talk about student support and progression, that is one of the important guidelines for us. Because most of the students we are getting both in the UG and PG courses are from the rural area, having a lot of social and economic disadvantage. Even English has become a big challenge across the country for the UG students. So what to talk about is international institutes or international accreditation. We are moving with it. Like Sarah very nicely given the example of, we never look the international market for our students, not for the faculty, nor also for the president. Because when we are the students during early 80s, at that time, IITs are criticized for the brain drain. Because how much money government is putting into that and what is the outcome of those institutes. Same thing also happened to the state-run medical colleges. Because to make a medical graduate, at that time, in the early 90s, the government is spending not less than 5 lakhs. But most of the doctors, they opted to use some current countries or foreign universities. So what is the outcome of that? When the government is spending so much of money, because we never talk about private investment at that time. So brain drain was a question during the 80s and 90s. So then the question comes, this quality, accreditation, other issue. Again, another issue not having highlighted like NIRF. It is by this higher education department, they have a portal where the higher education institutions annually they have to upload their data to get that NIRF ranking. And NIRF ranking for us is important in the sense that because it's like out of 100, out of that basically the way of putting that, in which grade you are there. So it is a total 7 different criteria again. Each one is measured out of 100, and based on that, the universities or the institutes are given some ranking, and that ranking precisely helps mostly in this. Take 2 examples I am putting. One, in getting research funding. If our university is within 50 in NIRF ranking, and we apply for some research projects to different government agencies, every likelihood that we are going to get it because of NIRF ranking has become so important. And the other part I am talking about, NIRF ranking also has some impact on the placement market. Because when we go for placing our students with different organizations, the NIRF ranking has become one of the issues. Now, this accreditation mostly in terms of NAC grades, like that is also to be reflected. So the placement market is also getting affected through this ranking and all those things. But I have to agree with my colleague, who has already given the example, even the best teaching institutes, in the name of ranking and rating and something, putting a lot of pressure for individual attainments, really spoiling the entire educational environment. Because why I am giving that example? Because I have educated throughout my career, maybe in the universities, but I got an opportunity to study at IIM Sambalpur. I have seen the difference because during the early 90s, 90 to 95 was the best. During the early 90s, what we have seen, most of the teachers in IIM Sambalpur, they are from the university system. And at that time, the type of teaching that was given at IIM Sambalpur, and today there is a big shift. Because the entire focus is on the placement market. Nobody really talks about the knowledge and the delivery of the knowledge or something more about. Good teaching institute, because we therefore, IIM Sambalpur during that time as a good institute for research. Because if you have that group in nature, or many others in other disciplines, like Professor Jain from marketing and all of them, they are more focusing on research. They are more focusing on writing good books and also classroom teaching. But what is happening today during this last maybe 35 years or 40 years? What has happened? A lot of things has happened. And for me, the last word I want to just say, going for accreditation has not helped the university much because it has a big cost for us. But government is not going to support us for even for a single pie. Where from we got the money? Maybe to talk about building of the infrastructure, maybe at something like global or something like in the global level. So also hiring faculty, because government has already put a lot of problems. And for the information of the house, there is no recruitment since 2016 in the state of Odisha, because the entire things have been controlled by government. So there is a lot of difficulty, but no such benefit we are getting out of that. But one thing we will definitely focus on, that students have got some benefit because we are forced to update our curriculum, keeping in mind for the placement market and the competition with the outside world. Thank you for giving me that.
That's an interesting perspective. You know, it has not helped us as a university too much. But anyway, there are some outcomes which are having some effect on the students, maybe in terms of curriculum or maybe in terms of perception, leading to placements and so on and so forth. Dr. Malik, quickly your views in the next 5 minutes.
I'll speak in different perspective and source, like, let's say for example, the gross enrollment ratio, right? Presently the gross enrollment ratio, which is around 25%. Now the government wants to increase further, like beyond 30 or 40. So what does that mean? That means they have to create more universities, more institutions. If you look into the total student strength across India, around 5% or 10%, maybe less than that, they are getting an opportunity to go for IIMs or IITs or NITs. The rest of the students are there who are catering or who are going to all those non-IIMs and the university department and all. My point is that, let us say tomorrow, the government decides that there will not be any kind of examination system at all. Then what will happen? Now everybody will be going for this FCC and all. It is very difficult for the government to manage the whole population for the student and all. So there has to be accreditation. So accreditation basically gives a direction or an examination for the institute or the university, so that they can know where they are. So that is why my first point is that the institute should be accredited, and rightly our Vice Chancellor has already told about the NAC and all. The NAC gives a different perspective at all. Now in the NAC, as you know, that once, let us say, a NAC visits or any accreditation process should start, then definitely there are a lot of changes happening in the universities and all the institutions. Like for example, tomorrow, let us say, the Prime Minister of India is going to visit the Sambalpur. They just before 5 years, everything will change. Similar to that, before the accreditation or before the certification, everything changes. And like the normal, if you ask for the normal students or the employee of any university or a typical institute, they they should say that no, there should be accreditation or certification in each year, so that at least the quality or the ambience and whatever the things has never been done over a period of time will be done. So that is what the normal psychology is that. So my point is that NAC is basically like our vice chairman will tell you, the NAC is for it is generally conducted for the 5 years. Now, if the NAC is being conducted in a shorter duration, maybe we will be in a pressure to maintain the records, to maintain the different kind of input parameters and output parameters, so that we can get higher ranking and all. So my position is that there should be an NAC accreditation. It is like an examination for the universities and or the colleges, and based on that, definitely it is like in benchmark you can say we can know that where we are existing and what are the things we need to do, so that at least we can increase our output, so that we can target to the good institution. So there should be a NAC accreditation, and so that our process will be streamlined, our everything will be alright. So that is my point of view. And definitely in the NAC, another thing is that they are basically considering about there are certain 70% qualitative and 30% some of the pure breed and all. So there are a lot of controversy are also is coming up for this NAC and all, because there is let us say for example in the university there are 26 departments are there, and who are taken from department of OER, history, political science, MBA, physics, chemistry and all. And the clear team members, there are 4 or 5 members are there who are biased to a particular department and for other department, even though they are good, they are not able to be judged. So there are a lot of controversies are still there about the NAC accreditation and all. And that is my submission that the accreditation should be there, and that is for the betterment of the institute.
Thank you, Dr. Malik. In fact, you said more frequent, validations should be not be once in 5 years, but maybe more frequently, maybe once in 3 years or 2 years. But then the vice chancellor will not be happy because he says it's a pain. Administratively, it's a huge pain and cost. So let me go back to Atish. I want to understand your perspective now that you have gone through this journey. And you wear 3 hats. As someone, as an administrator who have gone through the mill, second as an evaluator, as a mentor, and as a PR team. So what are the benefits, especially to the stakeholders? Now students are in front of me. If I have to represent their thoughts, how does it affect me? And in what way, I get benefit? And the same is with faculty members. Apart from this pressure of publishing and stuff like that. Please go.
Thanks, Ravi. So, 3 hats, yes. I was in the initial stage of accreditation at SP Jama, the PRT at IMT, and then of course the CIR at Daxon, and then maintaining for WSSB and as a PRT member. So, different hats. I would say first from the student's perspective, what is it? Number 1 is that you know that what has been promised is going to be delivered. Many of you only go by the name of the institution, but each institution is different. Even if you look at I am Ahmedabad and I am Calcutta, I am Ahmedabad is very different from I am Calcutta. I am Ahmedabad was mentored by Harvard in its initial days, whereas I am Calcutta was mentored by MIT. So one has a quantitative focus and the other has got a qualitative focus. It's a very different approach in the pedagogy as well. So when you look at the mission of the institution, particularly those who are having a global accreditation, you understand what this institution stands for. That is number 1. And hence, your expectations are set. And if it is an accredited institution, that means there is a what you call assurance of learning, which means that you will learn so this. The second important thing is that majority of accreditations, including the EFMD or the EQAs, looks at the student composition, which is the diversity of the cohort. So you will get a diverse cohort, which is the second important thing. Third and the most important thing is, if it is a globally accredited institution like WSCs or EQAs, your credits are articulated, which means that the credit that you take over here will be accepted by the international universities. Example is, for example, Jackson, even though it is not an IIM or that category, so to say, the credits are articulated with State University of New York, University of Texas, Georgia State, or in US, in Europe it is about with Catch, in France, SSLU, in Switzerland, or in University of Wollongong in Australia. So there's the credit articulation is a very important advantage. You can do exchange program, right now about 30 European students sitting on our campus, which adds to the diversity. Or you can do part of the program here and graduate with a degree from an international partner. Get 2 degrees, okay? One from maybe Jackson and one from maybe State University of New York. So that's a huge advantage, which means automatically you get graduated from US and a 3 years visa because it's the same program. Okay? Areas like cutting edge areas like cyber security, those kind of things. So from the student's perspective, that is the advantage. And the reason being, there are 3 major components, for example, in WSS accreditation: strategic management, learner success, and impact. So learner success is where the students or the learner success is assured. From the point of view of the faculty, the advantage is access. If you are a WSS accredited institution, if you are a faculty there, then the advantage is that the faculty of other institutions are willing to collaborate with you, because you have already got a partnership. Okay. So access is the key thing. And hence a support system, because to maintain the quality becomes important, and the support to the faculty in terms of their research and to remain current. From the point of view of the board, it is very important because strategic management becomes one of the very important parameters. And an accreditation visit gives you 3 important dimensions of feedback. The first one is what must be addressed before the next visit. Okay? So issues which has been identified which must be addressed before the next visit, the 5-year cycle. The second, the feedback based on observations. You know how you can improve the student. First of all, maybe with respect to strategic management. And the third one is a consultative feedback, where you can probably focus going forward. So you understand the PRT members, the 3 deans, senior deans of the health institutions across different continents in the global accreditation. So you got one from Australia, one from Europe, and one from US, 3 deans as the PRT members. So I think that's the advantage of the board. They understand what direction the institution should take from the strategic point of view, from the learners, ability to articulate the credits, go for an exchange, go for a dual degree program, and from the faculty, the access and the areas of impact. I think that's the key thing as an institution where we are going to impact going forward. It's a very important consideration. The consultative feedback that you get from the senior deans is very important for continuous improvement. This is the key piece. The accreditation is about continuous improvement. It's a cycle.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So the key points are predictability, accessibility, visibility, and impact. Let me go to Sanjay once again. As an administrator, as a promoter of, somebody who's leading the university, do you see, especially trying from what Professor Krishna has suggested about the whole process sometimes is very painful. Do you apparently see any, I would say, not difficulties, but any disadvantages in the whole process of accreditation or being an accredited? What kind of pressures or what kind of disadvantages do you see? If there are any?
I think I'll just reverse a little and speak on some of the things that were said to come back, because this will connect it properly. So I completely disagree with the fact that rankings should ever create a pressure on accreditation. Like I said, accreditation is about voluntary submission for peer review. And first there has to be an internal need to actually validate what you're doing aligning to your purpose. So if you have that, that comes first. Now there are certain professions. Now it's very important to understand. Imagine you go to a medical school and anybody in this world can open a medical school and do it in an MBBS degree. Would you go to that doctor? First question. Second question, would you actually go over a bridge or fly in a plane that's made by an engineer who comes from any institution? So where there is life, where there is threat, where there is responsibility, there is a need for assurance from the regulating bodies to be granted to the public at large that students graduating from these institutions have the license to do what they are supposed to do. And that's one form of very, very important accreditation, and these become professional accreditations. Now when you look at a university system, you have got liberal education, you've got professional education. Now what is liberal education? So in liberal education, you have humanities, sociology, anthropology, your psychology, all of these courses which are basically coming from the mind and from pure knowledge base. They are not going to destroy you in any way. So let's say I am a person working on anthropology, or I am working on the history of how human evolution has happened. That is not something that can really impact anybody's life directly right now with my actions. The worst that I can do is probably mislead you in your thought process for some time till somebody else corrects it. So, or even if you look at the arts education, like if you were to look at music, performing arts, or any form of arts, again there are no walls. Now the worst that I can do is play a musical song that irritates the audience and gives you an empty hall. That's the worst that I can do. Or I do a performance which actually makes me a laughing stock. So that's the worst damage I can do. But there are certain professions in a university that need to be regulated because they have an impact, and there are certain sources of knowledge and works that you do that may not have a direct impact. Now when you have to accredited professional courses like medicine, engineering, management, or law, all these require an assurance from the regulator in some form to the society that people graduating from this institution have got the wherewithal and are responsible people to take on that profession. When it comes to the liberal side, when it comes to the side, it becomes different. And university is something that envelopes both. So I definitely appreciate your point, sir, that in certain areas, it becomes extremely painful to have accreditation. And in certain areas, it becomes important. But when you look at a university accreditation, it is very, very different, especially in the world that we live in now. So every degree that you grant, typically a university has a research site and knowledge creation site, which is a free site, which really doesn't require any form of credential. But in this world of credential that we are, we yet give a BA honors, we yet give a MA honors, we yet give various kinds of degrees. And those degrees require societal validation. When it comes to societal validation, there has to be some form of a standard that needs to get created to say that this university and this university are sort of peer-reviewed and are clear to provide that kind of a credential. So that becomes the ill of the entire system of credentials. And for that, accreditation is something that you cannot avoid. But again, I come back from the point of view, accreditation cannot be mandated. Unlike like in India, it is mandated. The moment I apply for a university license, or the moment a university is created in India it gets created through an act of a parliament or act through a legislation, act of the state legislature. In that, before I go to the university itself, I go through a whole process of sanitization, I go through a whole process of review, which actually gives me the license to operate as a university. Having got the license, there is no guarantee that I'm going to continue to live on with that process. And that's where accreditation steps in. I think every university, every profession must allow their peers to keep correcting them as they go wayward, because this is a complicated world. Things are, very volatile and ambiguous, and in this world of ambiguity and volatility, it is very important that you consult people of the same domain to basically check out whether you're on the cruise, you're in the right direction or not. And when you submit yourself, then I don't think accreditation is ever considered to be a pain. It is actually one's need to become better every day. And when you pursue that thought, then I don't see that as a pain. I think it's just a matter of mindset. Because some of the universities are mandated by regulators, it looks like pain. But if it were to become voluntary, I think that perspective would actually change. That's my point.
Thank you. So, says if the pain is going to help you grow, the good pains are good. Is what I can draw from what Sanjay said. I think we have got a
Just a small correction, not impose pain and voluntary pain are two different things, right? So what you take on voluntarily is never painful. It's always, it always is very gratifying.
accreditation should not be mandated, is another key point. One quick question I can take from audience, especially students. Any perspective or any question or any thought that you have, and you want to ask anyone. So they are linked to grants to accreditation. It's in a mandating member. Any questions? No? Please, please. Yeah. Can you hold the mic, please? We got a mandate to wrap up the session, so I will need 2 minutes to put thoughts together.
Respected professors and dear participants, a very good afternoon to all of you. I am Ajay Kumar Yadav from Varanasi. Sir, you explained in that today the scenario of the three important fields, that is the engineering, management and law. How law also interconnected with management, because I am also law graduate and also now I am MBA. So how these two fields interconnected with each other, engineering and management, the law and management. Because sir, before few days I read in newspaper that
Sanjay is trying to answer that.
In fact, let me tell you that the disciplines have been created by human beings. There's nothing like discipline. Okay? Everything is eventually connected. And the birth of everything comes from philosophy, whether it is law, whether it is your science, or whether it is even what you're talking about engineering. One classic example, so I was talking to artists in the past, and I'm sure there are a lot of engineers here, and if I ask them, what is engineering? A lot of them will be wondering how to answer that question. And engineering is about problem solving. So one side you have the constraints of science, which are the natural constraints, whether it's gravity, friction, whatever. And the other side is the application, what you want to do actually. So you want to move a cart. Engineering is about making that cart move by taking into consideration the laws of science. Law are laws created by human beings. Okay? And management is about ensuring, is equivalent to engineering to what I just said. So law is humans, the laws created by human beings. You want to do something, management helps you deliver that something within the ambit of those laws. And it's about problem solving. It's about decision making. It's about how to apply resources to get the most efficient output. And you have to operate within the ambit of laws, primarily because you got to be responsible. You can't be going out of the way. So eventually everything connects. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. We can have the conversation offline. One maybe point, Mr. you want to make?
in our university, we have already started courses called integrated law, where BBA LLB is one of the prominent courses, and there are more papers for that. Means where the management and law get integrated into one curriculum. But it has nothing to do with your accreditation. We consider this as another discipline, another faculty in the UG courses. BBA LLB, BCom LLB, like that. BA LLB, these are the courses now that are very, very popular. Why is this type of courses? Because the in the placement market, you will find a lot of opportunity for this type of graduates, where there is a connection between management and law. But sir, I put it in a very different way, because everywhere you need to have management, something theoretical as well as ethical, to think in that perspective. I am just putting it from job market perspective, but accreditation is also quite important, because job market is also searching for that.
Perfect. So multidisciplinary, transdisciplinary, interdisciplinary, and all is the need of the hour. We have had a very interesting conversation, and I think some key points where this accreditation, international and national, do bring in. Do we have time to take one more? Please go ahead.
Hi, good morning to everybody. My name is Ashi Jain and I am from UPS Dehradun, MBA student first year. So my question is, as we know that we were talking about ESG investment and the concept of greenwashing exists there. So I can correlate this here as well. So accreditation are there, credentials are there, rankings are there. So if I am a student and I want to apply in a university going with the rankings, what is the credibility? Does greenwashing, or if not greenwashing is the right word, happens here as well? If it is, then how to overcome it and give a clear perspective while choosing?
Perfect. I think I'll take it. See, whenever there is, what Sanjay said, drawing from that, if something is imposed, if something is forced, you will always have, because you feel the pain, you're tempted to take shortcuts and all. In fact, a couple of weeks ago, there was a report on the global ranking, even top universities have fudged the data and misrepresented things and, to get so-called in the ranking race and be ahead in the ranking race and so on. So, it is going to remain the way as long as things are forced and imposed. The day we start looking at things more voluntarily as a purpose-driven, saying that yes, we want to improve and we want to use this accreditation as a tool to validate, tool for peer input, and a tool to improve or continuous improvement. Then I'm sure this fudging of data or this so-called greenwashing or ranking manipulation will not happen. But the key is, how open you are as an institution to go through that, if I say, pain which you want to have, to grow and to improve all the time. I think we can wrap up this here. Please.
Ranking and accreditation, choose accreditation.
Perfect. So ranking should not need accreditation. If you are accredited and if you are improving, rankings will happen. And this should be voluntarily. So this is perhaps the conclusion. Accreditation is a required thing, whether it is national accreditation or international, depending on the need and your positioning of the institution, you choose to do it. And there are definite benefits that it brings in terms of validation, benchmarking, peer validation, articulation of strategy and credit transfers and so on and so forth. Having said that, there is a need for realizing, or we need to realize that if you impose things, then it may give you unintended consequences or land us up in a completely different situation that we never intended when we started for accreditation. I think with that, we will close the wrap up the session. Thank you so much for being a good audience. Very few questions asked, or most of you are busy with what you are doing, so you never disturb the session. Thank you so much. And over to you, please.
I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the panel members for their time and for carrying forward an insightful discussion. I will now request Professor Sudhindra Rao to felicitate the guests for the day.
आप जो बोले क्या
हाँ वो वाला पार्ट ले लीजिए।
इसमें है
तो एक मैं ऐसे रिकॉर्ड कर लेती हूँ फोन पे।
अच्छा ठीक कंटिन्यूस लगा तो कंटिन्यू तर बात कंटिन्यू हो
Okay, and you are I'm from Maharashtra.
हाँ
He's my one uncle.
चलिए
Like, okay. मेरे चाचा ही अच्छा अच्छा हाँ
नहीं था कुछ
and this department engineering no is there for I think designing अच्छा okay and you're from which college from the अच्छा I'm from Sambalpur yeah okay nice I heard your name you said you're from UPS yeah you can take a video just a second can you not share the clip yeah I want that
नहीं होगा
भैया कर दीजिए
अभी नहीं होगा
थोड़ी देर बात कर दीजिए
थोड़ी देर बाद भी नहीं होगा 15 मिनट का तो टाइम
अच्छा इसके बाद कर देना ना इवेंट के बाद
रात हो जाती है
क्लियर नहीं आ रही है पता है बिल्कुल भी वो दोबारा प्ले करिए और उसमें अपनी टर्न भी तो क्या होगा
देखता रहेगा
और किससे आया
क्या देखता है
थोड़ा और पीछे
शेयर करने
और पीछे कर लीजिए पीछे But I'm not sure I can. थोड़ा सा पीछे से हाँ जी So you are into like first stages hope. Pause it and take. I think now it can. She can share it. It will be great. Yeah, sure. So it. No, shall I
At our event today, we are thrilled to have gathered an assembly of distinguished HR leaders and experts who play pivotal roles in shaping the future of workforce management in the Industry 4.0 era. The landscape of industry is undergoing a profound transformation with the advent of Industry 4.0, and the role of HR in navigating this evolution is more crucial than ever. Today's panel discussion, centered around building organizational skills towards managing the workforce in an Industry 4.0 world, promises to be a thought-provoking exploration into the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. Our esteemed panelists bring a wealth of experience and expertise to the table, representing a diverse range of industries. They are at the forefront of innovation, driving organizational success by harnessing the potential of a rapidly evolving workforce and technological advancements. On this note, I am Sambalpur, a PhD scholar from IIM Sambalpur, and I would take the privilege of welcoming our esteemed panelists on the dais. To begin with, I would like to welcome Mr. David Prasad Das, Ms. Jaya Suri, Ms. Jayanti Jagannath, Mr. Krishna Padi, and Mr. Subramanya Sastry on the dais, please. I would now request Professor Madhav Cheswal, Director IIM Sambalpur, to welcome the dignitaries on the dais.
जागा चेंज कर
Thank you, sir. I would now take the opportunity to introduce our panelists for this session. To begin with, I would like to introduce our first panelist, Mr. Devi Prasad Das. Mr. Das is currently working with Apollo Health and Lifestyle Limited as Chief Human Resources Officer. He is a B.Tech graduate from XLRI and a chartered professional in human resource management with 18 years of experience in the industry. I would now like to introduce our second panelist, Ms. Jaya Suri. Ma'am is currently the CHRO at Kimball Technologies. Her expertise lies in talent management, engagement and development, and building employee value propositions for diverse workforces. She's been previously associated with brands like Randstad, Polar, GUS Global Services. Moving ahead, I would like to introduce Ms. Jayanti Jagannath. Ma'am is the Chief Human Resource Officer at K&S Partners. She has over 22 years of progressive experience in human resource management. She's previously been associated with Nucleus Software, Exchanging, FinServ, Deloitte, and Charbon and Amachan. Next, I would like to introduce our fourth panelist, Mr. Krishna Party. Sir is an HR professional with 31 plus years of rich work experience in diverse manufacturing industries of great repute across India. Worked in projects and welfare plans as well, and has contributed immensely to setting and implementing policies, systems and processes, building and changing culture, building skill and development talent, managing, maintaining enviable IR and local relations. Last but not the least, I would like to introduce our fifth panelist of the day, Mr. Subramania Shastri, is a partner in PwC with over 25 years of experience in consulting, where he's worked with responsibilities for delivery of consulting services in areas of enterprise applications, supply chain management, strategy and transformation initiatives. Apart from client service work, Mr. Shastri leads the L&D and campus recruitment for the advisory practice of PwC. He is a mechanical engineer, holds an MBA from IIM Bangalore, and has done his executive education in digital strategy from INSEE and AI applications from Kellogg Executive Education. I would now request Mr. Shastri to moderate the session for us today.
Thank you very much. Always a delight to be in premier education institutes like this one. We're very happy to be here and even more happy to interact with seasoned HR professionals. I'm sure there's a wealth of knowledge that the students will gain, insights that they will get from your experience. The topic is very pertinent. Perhaps I would start by asking one common question one after another. How do you see the workforce transformation or the human resource transformation that's happening in your respective organizations? And then I will subsequently come to how do students equip themselves. If I might perhaps start with David Prasad, yourself, and then what's happening in your own organizations with respect to HR, with respect to the skill upgrade and these dimensions. The world is changing, we all know that. So in that context, would be very keen to get your views.
Sure. Namaste and thank you so much. First of all, this is not the David Prasad from Hera Fairy movie. This is the David Prasad who works with Apollo Health and Lifestyle. Someone very knowledgeable once told me the best way to address a key gathering is to sit up, speak up, and very quickly wrap up. So what it translates is it will have a good beginning, a very quick ending, and nothing in between. So now you know what you can expect from me, right? So since I'm now in IIM and I'm grateful to the entire director's office and the institution for giving me this opportunity. I have 4 lines for all of you. I think it's required because I'm getting an opportunity to be here at this esteemed institution. So after that I start talking the topic. हर पर्वत पर मणि माणिक नहीं होते, हर हाथी के माथे पर मुक्ता मणि नहीं होते, हर जंगल में चंदन के पेड़ नहीं होते, और हर देश में आप जैसे स्टूडेंट्स नहीं होते. So big round of applause for all of you. Answering to the question that Mr. Shastri asked, so I'm part of a healthcare institution known as Apollo Health and Lifestyle. And the kind of workforce that we deal with, it has a combination of skill-based workforce and then your workforce who are more into the management and administration stream. Now, basically, if you talk about the workforce, we have 5 categories, right? Medical, nursing, paramedical, admin, and support. Now, let me give you a few statistics, to let you understand how we are dealing with the Apollo Health and Lifestyle. Today in the country, if you talk about nursing as a profession, right? The ratio that we have is 1.96 nurses per 1,000 population. That means for every 1,000 population, we have only 1.96 nurses. Now let's understand what WHO says. WHO says, the World Health Organization says that we will have a minimum of 3 nurses per 1,000 population.
That means there is already a gap in terms of the skilled workforce from what is available in the market vis-a-vis what we have in the society. Now, if you talk about the doctors, we have a ratio of 1 is to 834. So, what is happening is one way is we are looking for a skilled workforce, and the second thing is the available talent is also becoming a challenge. Now, let me give a small example of what I am going to tell you. Now, let's say we go to a restaurant, right? We will order, let's say, rice and chicken curry. And the waiter comes and gives you rice and chicken curry, and suddenly you realize that there is no salt in that. So you will call the waiter, and the waiter says, "I'm so sorry, I will, change it." You go to a garment shop. You don't like feel that the clothes that you have taken is not good enough. So they will say that, "Okay, we are so sorry, you can exchange it." Unfortunately, in healthcare, we can't say we are sorry. That means you are dealing with life and death. You are dealing with life and death means your skilled workforce that we have, the management of the work that we have, has to ensure that you need to have resources who are skilled enough. Now, few things that we do at Apollo is that we call it as a 4P concept. Prepare, plan, process, and with a purpose. If the organization, the last P is not there, the other 3 doesn't work. So our purpose is very well defined that we are here to touch 1 billion lives. We are going to ensure that we are to bring healthcare international standards within the reach of every individual. So how can we do this? We can do this if we have a mindset. Now let me tell you what I am referring to. Because before skills, mindset is a very critical role. So let me tell you a short story, but I am meaning 2 lines. A father and daughter were playing in a seashore, and the daughter is 7 years old. Suddenly a big wave came in, and both of them got drenched. The daughter is telling her father, Papa, don't worry, you will not get drowned." Father has a lot of curiosity. How come, beta? Because I am holding your hand. So it is not that the organization is holding the hand of the employees, the employees actually hold the hand of the organization, right? So that change means आदमी सोच से होता है, इस दृष्टि को बदलना है तो दृष्टि को बदलना है. So what we do is we ensure that we are completely employee oriented. And what we do is to ensure that we are ensuring that we have the right skill set of the workplace. We do a lot of things. Few of them are like, ensuring that there is a learning culture that is in the organization. Because you may have programs, if programs are not rewarding, if you don't engage, for example, we believe earning should be connected with learning. Like in learning, if you delete L, learning is there, right? So if you have learning, automatically learning will flow. But we reward it not only monetarily, but tangible and intangible both the aspects. Second thing is, we ensure that a lot of training that is given to the workforce. Because in healthcare, you can't touch a patient unless until you have the required credential and privileging in place. So you need to ensure that you have all those matrices done when only you are allowed to get access to the patient. So one is, third is technology. We use technology in terms of ensuring that we have the workforce we talk about is almost 5,200 online employees that we have, and they are always distributed environment. So you need to ensure how can we enable technology which helps us in ensuring that the learning happens quicker and faster. And at level now what we do is we ensure that there is a culture that gets created, cascaded, where innovation comes from an employee standpoint. And that's what it makes a big difference. And at level now for everything to take place, trust is required. Because if there is employee don't trust the organization doesn't trust its employees, things will not happen. Now with trust what I'm referring is जो पत्थर छोड़ कर टूट जाता है वो कंकर बन जाता है, जो पत्थर छोड़ कर सह जाता है वो शंकर बन जाता है. So if you can worship a small stone and believe as God, we will ensure that we believe the trust with our patients, with our employees, with our organization, so that the entire workflow takes place. Thank you.
Among the many things that you said, the one that will stick is learning leads to earning. And I'm sure for students that's something that they will certainly take. And it's very good that you have put it in the context of your organization. If I might jab a little bit of your own organization, the context, and therefore how are you seeing these trends change within the organization?
Hi everyone, my name is Jaya. Sorry for that. Okay. So, I have close to around 22 years of experience, and that's the best part of being an HR, you can change industries. And I have changed industries a varied sense. So all my industry moves have been into different industry. I started from consulting, then moved into insurance, then moved into hardcore manufacturing, then education, and now I'm at Kimball Technologies for the last 8.5 months. Kimball Technologies, we manufacture, and the technology behind us is smart meters. So the electric meters which you see now, what we are making is a smart meter that you can see on an electric app, that okay, how much electricity fan has used, and during a day of what time electricity is expensive. So just like the telecom sector, which has grown really fast, our sector is growing very, very fast. So because we've seen the telecom boom and now it's the electricity boom. In terms of changes, what I see from an HR perspective, it's threefold. First is towards the hiring. So when I started the career, we used to see that stability is something we should see in the resume. That one person should stay in a company or in a role for at least 10 years, it's a good profile. Now, I'm sorry to say, but that's something which is taken as a negative thing. You stayed in the same role for 10 years, a similar kind of profile, it becomes you're not adaptable. So adaptability is the skill we look at in hiring. So we look at people who've done various roles in different industries, who are easily adaptable, who can learn quickly. That's about hiring. The next aspect of HR is training. Also
आशिकी आ गई यार की दिलकशी भा गई के हमें आशिकी आ गई आशिकी आ गई.
But how did we do it for 3 years? So it took me around 3 months to actually convince myself that I have to learn it. And only 1 month to learn it. Because it's a new process, it was easier. I knew the earlier process, so it was very easy for me to learn it. But so that's why I thought that, okay, unlearning and accepting your mind that you have to unlearn, it's important. Third aspect, which we have changed very nicely, is the culture part of it. At Kimball, we don't believe in hierarchy. Everybody is equal. And we believe in a feedback system, and there are 3 pointer systems which we've given to feedback. And feedback from a performance-driven perspective has the lowest number of importance when a manager gives feedback to subordinates, because we say, okay, that's the regular feedback. Equal importance is given to a person who's like giving it to colleague, peer-to-peer feedback. It's a good kind of a feedback which we are working on. However, the new thing which we worked on is a fresher or a person who has less years of experience, and you're reporting into a person, giving feedback to his superior or skip level or to the CEO. That feedback has worked out tremendously well for us. And because the growth is so fast, that feedback is important. And we are growing because we are learning from people like you, and you are questioning us, and we are thinking and rethinking, and we are unlearning and learning new things. So a lot of importance to you given in our organization and given in most of the new organization. Because new thinkings, you guys know technology more than us. So we are dependent on you to give us new ideas and how to handle our own organization better than we've been doing. So a lot of importance given to you all. Thank you.
something which perhaps is a lot more applicable to those of us on the dais than those out there. But adapting is important, and maybe later I'll ask a follow-on question for the interesting aspect that you said of changing roles. Perhaps not necessarily changing organizations, but at least roles. We'll follow that up a little later. Meanwhile, if I might request Jayanti, who comes from a completely different industry background, a law firm, right? We have spoken of healthcare industry, spoken of technology industry, a different kind of services, law firm. The role of HR, I'm sure, would be very different, and the context is also different. So we'll be very keen to understand your points of view.
So thanks for that, Shastri, and thank you to director and the whole team of IIM Sambalpur for this amazing event which has been put up. Because last year when I came in, so the context became very different. Last year I think the institution was working from a temporary setup, and now when you actually look at the whole set of people sitting in an auditorium, and there's so much more, grown and advanced from what it was last year. So it is so heartwarming. So congrats to each one of you who has made this happen, and I'm sure it's going to be a kickstart for many more things to come. So all of us are all ears, and we would like to know ears and eyes looking at the growth of this institution. So for me, it's been a fair amount of learning when I listen to my colleagues, Devi and Jaya, especially about and of course we were talking offline also about how things happen in the health.
से वो बिखरा गई के हमें आशिकी आ गई के हमें आशिकी आ गई यार की दिलकशी भा गई के हमें आशिकी आ गई। आशिकी आ गई।
Which is one of the leading firms, legal law firms in the country. So things are very different. So there are all lawyers around, and it was really hard for me also because of the orientation. What kind of processes are there? Certainly, I would say the legal industry.
घर से थे चले तो ये बात हो गई। घर से थे चले तो ये बात हो गई। न जाने क्यों उनसे मुलाकात हो गई। नजरें ऐसे वो टकरा गई के हमें आशिकी आ गई के हमें।
So, and they're highly paid and all of that. So you have various streams in law. It's legal. So you have corporate law, you have competition, you have litigation, the difference. So there is one space which is of intellectual property. So I'm sure all of you are aware of intellectual property, and especially the last 20 years, especially India has a lot of दार्जिलिंग चाय होता है। दार्जिलिंग चाय केवल दार्जिलिंग में हो सकता है, कहीं भी आप दार्जिलिंग चाय को ला नहीं सकते। That is a job to integrate things. So a lot of things I myself have sort of got oriented over the years. So typically, my firm is into only intellectual property business. So what we do is we have 3-4 streams. So how interesting it is, you have one business stream which talks of only patenting, all kind of patenting that we do. And second is the trademarks, all trademark and copyright. So copyright, especially you have an entertainment, in the Bollywood industry and all of that. So those kind of clients that you have. And of course sports and many others. And then we have a litigation. Litigation is all about, disputes and वहीं पे काफी कोर्ट में जाके काम करना होता है. There's a lot of aspects there. So if I were to look at, it's only lawyers हैं. So it's not, so intellectual property, largely we have a technologist. You will be amazed to hear. We have primary technologists and we hire from some of the top engineering colleges of the country. So we have a campus drive which we do to all the IITs. What are they doing in an IB law firm? Last few years we started doing a lot of awareness. You know what IB law firm is about, all technologists who actually get oriented towards legal space. So typically as you have technologists, we have biotechnologists who are PhDs, and you have the other chem pharma, so pharmacists. So typically what happens is that people need to understand the business of the client. So our people work with inventors. I mean, it's very interesting actually. We work with inventors and help them patent their technology, patent the new drug that they're coming up with, working with Novartis, working with hand vaccine and things like that. So what comes in this whole sphere? What we're also trying to, so the aspect that I'm going to talk about is of interest in general for all of you, is how corporates work. And also, what is in it for you, right? So, two aspects which I'll just touch upon. So, one is of course that we are trying to widen our horizons. In the last few years, we have made it very clear. We don't want to hire naturally. We want to take only from the campus. That's the way things move, right? So, but then we're talking only technology. So right now, we're talking about engineers, we're talking about MSc, PhDs from the campuses. So this is a sphere that we're going to do in the next 2-3 years. We don't want to do much of lateral. Get people straight from campus and mold them in the IT's, field where there's a lot of research, applying the mind, technology and things like that. Second part, we also want to sort of move around is looking at how management aspects can be added on to what we are actually doing. So what is becoming very important as an organization for us is there's so many of our clients, the patenting which is happening, a lot of technology orientation is required. So all the lawyers are put through a lot of the latest technology aspects, like for example AI, IoT, and all that. So we have very many training orientation sessions. It's very important for each one of our technologists, techno lawyers, to be oriented about what's happening in the industry. So technology part is, so we have a one whole learning division where we do all of that. Second part of it is we focus a lot, especially keeping in mind what's the industry being facing. So of course there's been a rapid adaptation of technology and digitalization, or called as 4.0, which has happened perforce because of the pandemic and all of that which you would have heard. So that, keeping that in mind, there's a lot of adaptation, digital transformation which is happening in our firm. Second, there's a lot of data which is being built. So when there's a lot of data which is being built, we want people who are very oriented towards understanding data and knowing what to do with the data. So that is one of the main things that we look for in people. So something that you guys can have your hands on, and know that organizations, even if it's a law firm, we are looking for people who know how to analyze the data, analytics and all of that. Even in HR, we are looking at a lot of HR analytics. So this is as far as the skills and the technology part of it that we're looking at by way of digital transformation. Few other things which are very, very important for us as a firm is how are you have the learning skills. Learning skills are very, very important for us because everything is changing. And of course in the industry also, if you look at the learning skills, is becoming very important. So how do you learn today this is something, and it's very disruptive as you would have heard the directors talking about it. Things are keeping on changing. So are you learn to learn. So you have the critical thinking, you have creative thinking, you have problem solving, the 3 C's which are there. So learning skills are becoming very, very important for us, and we want people to focus on all these things. आपको इतना पता है ठीक है कोई बात नहीं, but can you move from point A to B in first year? That's what is most important, and that's what is looked for from each of our freshers or whoever that we hire. These skills. Few other things that we focus on is collaboration. We have a project which is going on where we are focusing a lot in collaboration. Does the person have collaborative skills? अकेले में अच्छा काम कर लेता है, but is he able to collaboratively work? So we are building those skills. Apart from that, team building and I mean of course all of this, which is very important for us as a firm. But especially people who are entering into the industry, the marketplace, it's going to be very important. What do you do with the data? That has become a hygiene factor now. So there are certain aspects which are very lots to talk about. So with that, I'd like to
Thanks, Nidhi. If I had not heard what you said, I wouldn't have imagined that the role of technology in a law firm, nor would I have assumed that skills like IoT and huge amount of data management actually links back to what Professor Rishikesh also mentioned in his slides earlier today, that perhaps even some organizations expect MBAs to be able to do coding as well. And of course, you touched on the collaboration side as well. Let me move on to Mr. Krishna, who is a veteran in the HR space. Again, from what you would call, quote unquote, a traditional industry, which makes managing HR a lot more interesting and complex. Right? And these are also organizations that invest heavily in the Industry 4.0 skills. Right? They are the front runners in these. So would be keen to get your points of view, Mr. Krishna, which the students can benefit a lot from, your own organizational context, and therefore how do you see the learnings that are needed in this Industry 4.0?
Thank you. So once again, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks to the panelists who spoke before me. Because I didn't prepare anything to while coming to this place. I thought as the situation asked for it, I will go ahead with that. But yeah, privilege of experience as well as privilege of listening to them, all three of them. Thank you for that. So I have seen IIM Sambalpur evolving from a private campus to their own location. I have been associated with IIM Sambalpur since the early days in all three campuses. The first private college campus, then Sambalpur University campus, and now this beautiful campus that is going to be inaugurated very soon, officially. So congratulations to all of you. And with that, let me tell you a little bit about the organization I belong to. I am 32 years, I already have 32 years of experience in only in manufacturing setups. I worked with food product, then I went to cement, then I came to metals. So all of them I am in metal, cement and food product industries, and mostly in manufacturing setup. I worked across Aditya Birla Group and Hindalco. Hindalco is the highest paid honor for Aditya Birla Group. It's about $17 billion. And Aditya Birla Group is of $48 billion company. And many of you must be associated with Aditya Birla Group in some way or other. I believe, I trust many of you, maybe majority of you, the clothes you are wearing must be from Aditya Birla Ford. Be it Peter Winkler, be it Van Heusen, be it Pantaloon, be it Madhura Garment, be it anything you name in that space. So that's the presence Aditya Birla Group is having. Today, coming to Hindalco, the purpose of Hindalco is to make manufacture the metals that make the world greener, stronger and smarter. Keeping that purpose in mind, we have a huge skill requirement all across. As I said, we have old plants, old technologies, new technologies. So the skill building or the development of workforce is key to us. In old plants, we are upgrading the technology. We are upgrading the equipments. We are going for automation. In newer plants, we are getting very brand new technology. We need very good operators to operate that. Today, Hindalco is supplying materials to ISRO. The rockets we are making, the Chandrayaan that had metal from Hindalco, and the recently built Atal Setu in Mumbai also is having the metal from Hindalco. So that's the kind of clientele we have. And going forward, we are supplying metals to Tata Ace for their trolleys, Mahindra and Mahindra for some of their parts spares, and more recently, very soon we are going to supply materials for building the coaches of Vande Bharat. All those coaches will be made out of aluminium instead of steel. So that's what we are going forward to. We are getting into aluminium bunkers and aluminium coaches. So with that kind of clientele in hand, that kind of newer clientele in hand, we need to continuously build and rebuild our skill sets in the workforce we are having. So we have a special focus on learn, unlearn and relearn. We don't say it, we do it. How we do it, we have a good mix of old and new in the fold. We have our own general manager learning programs, we have our own HR leadership learning programs, we have our own universities that build skill sets, like BITS Pilani. We send our workforce there to graduate again in process engineering and power engineering. We have our own setup in the system which takes care of digital savvy and digital capability building. We train our people in generative AI, in VR, AR, in Internet of Things. That's because we are getting into that very faster. Unless we get into that faster, we will be obsolete. We cannot cater to the new clientele. So what requires is continuously build skill in that, and while doing that, we also have to see that there is a periodicity to learning. Recently we have worked for a program where we call it First 10 Best 10. Anybody joining the group, be it from campus or be it lateral, they have to go through three moments within the first 10 years of their experience. 1.5 years done, you have to move either horizontally or vertically to some other department, other function, other specialty. You have to get into that. 3 to 6 years, you have to move again to another field, either horizontally or vertically. Then in between 6 and 10, you have to make a third move within the system. So that we want spiral growth. We want to understand and know things in other areas. Like process guy will go to maintenance guy will go to commercial guy or technical guy will come into HR guy will get into commercial. All those things we are experimenting. So the first 10 years give them the best of skill sets, the best of learning, and prepare them for the future leadership programs. So that is one. And then we have our, as I said rightly, we have our continuous education program under which we train our people in engineering. We sponsor our people to Burla Engineering College. We sponsor our people doing their MBA from IIM Sambalpur. So these all depend upon performance and potential together. And let me tell you a little bit about what is the difference between performance and potential. Maybe you are grading in your courses. But understanding that is key to building skill and building leadership pipeline. Performance is what you do, what you perform against a set of goals in a set timeline. Like annual goals we take, we will fulfill those goals, we will be achieving those goals by the end of the year. Potential is the competencies and characters we are showing or demonstrating or displaying today for a higher role of tomorrow. and clear to all of you what is the difference between performance and potential. The performance is today, potential is for tomorrow. Unless you demonstrate that, display that in your current job, like I am a head for the Eastern cluster. See, if today I do not show that I have, today I do not demonstrate the competencies, the characteristics required for a role of group HR head, then I can't reach the ABG HR head's role. So that applies for all the functions. So you need to continuously perform, and as well as you have to demonstrate that you have the potentials for next jump, next to next jump, 2 jumps, 4 jumps kind of thing. So we then prepare a talent profile and then we take them through fast track, growth, and grow them for the future. So while doing this, one more thing we are also seeing today is the digital savvy or digital capability in each one of them. Whosoever is being groomed for the leadership role. How digital savvy he is, or how much he is curious to learn that, or how much he is curiously trying to get trained under someone. So we are also working on that, so that we are industry 4.0 is we are ready for that, where they are in the market to cater to that. And apart from that, we also have a culture intervention, which we call CILIM, because it all started at CILIM. For last 7 years, we are working on a culture where the behaviors will be avoided, not the outcomes. Let me repeat. This culture reset is saying only award or reward or recognize the behaviors demonstrated, not the outcomes achieved. So we are coming to that, from outcome based to behavior based, because we believe if the behaviors are right, then outcomes will be constantly coming, consistently coming. So let us focus on the behaviors. The behaviors are like, let me quote few of the behaviors we want are winning with team, taking accountability, completing speed with focus while completing a job. So likewise, we have 5 set of behaviors which we award Bhumika cards. We call it Bhumika cards in our system. We award Bhumika cards to those who demonstrate those 5 behaviors very well, instead of recognizing his outcome he has provided a game. And through that, I'm trying to create a culture of learning, rewarding behavior, and also caring. We evaluate our managers for their empathy also. How empathetic they are while talking to their people. How empathetic they are while approaching their people. Very recently, in one of our units in North India, we terminated a senior guy in the system who scolded his worker in a foul language. We terminated a very senior guy, talented guy in the system, for banging someone with foul language in the plant premises. So that's the kind of culture we are promoting today. No banging, no use of foul language. We have, others are also there, like POS, prevention of sexual harassment. We have value system, we have 5 values. Someone is violating integrity, he is also given out. But along with that, we feel the behavior, the kind of relationship we are promoting, that's not to happen in many ways. And then we have started rewarding as well as punishing those who are not falling in line. So that's brief. I have gone from skill to culture. So that's the way Hindalco and Aditya Birla Group is taking care of getting itself or kind of keeping itself sustainable in the industry 4.0. Thank you.
I'll shift gears into perhaps something which will be more pertinent to the students. And I will start with you. It's always thought that the transition from student life to moving to organization is not the easiest. Right? And then if one were to move to the manufacturing setup, it's a little more tougher. For MBA grads, what would you suggest that they keep in mind to ease their transition? Or should they themselves to ease in their transition from student to work life. Right? In my own organization, I do see that when students come in, right, especially those who haven't had significant prior experience, there is a mind shift that is required from college life to work life, right? And it's not easy. We have all been through that decades back and perhaps have forgotten, right? And we think it's natural, but that's not the case. It's in reality, it's a little tough. You can turn in an assignment, for example, an academic assignment, and say, I'm okay with getting 60% marks. You can't turn in a client assignment and say, it is subpar, I'm okay with that. Doesn't happen in organizations. I'm just giving one illustration from my own experience. But I would like to hear from you, what would you recommend students to be prepared for or prepare themselves to ease in the transition?
So thank you. Very pertinent question, and we always, as an industry also, we always keep thinking about this. How will make the transition smoother, and what we expect in students from the campuses, whether they fulfill the bill or they are still need to do something more. So whenever I visit any campus, I start with this. Today it's a family discussion, so I didn't start with that. But otherwise, I always start what the industries need and where do you stand. So do evaluate yourself. Because campuses are preparing you for the industry. But maybe there is still a lag between what industry wants, specifically the manufacturing industry, and what the campuses are offering. Like in campus, anything and everything you do, there is a lot of fun, a lot of camaraderie, a lot of kind of outburst. Anything and everything you do in a campus, it's treated in a different manner. But when you enter the industry, how you behave there, how you take a posture there, or how you react, how you communicate, all things are noted because people from campus are taking in the leadership roles, no more in the junior most role. And we have focus that they will be future leaders. So you need to start behaving like a leader from the beginning. And leadership traits have to be there because there will be a lot of workforce or workmen who will be working under you in the plant. A lot of supervisory staff who will be 30 years in the industry, 40 years in the industry, but they will be calling you sir. When you enter, they will be calling you ma'am. You are almost like a son or daughter to them. But in industry, they will be calling you sir and ma'am. But whether the position should attract respect, or whether your personality, your behavior, your character, that attract the respect, that is very crucial to understand. Because when we reach an industry from institute, हम लोग थोड़ा काफ़ी हाई ये में होता है, और एक अलग होता है, मैं IIM से हूँ, मैं IIT से हूँ, मैं यहाँ से हूँ. So when you carry that into the industry, you have to be very careful. क्योंकि बहुत जल्दी आप सेट नहीं हो पाते हो, अनसेट ऑफसेट हो जाते हो. And then one more thing I would highlight is focus, decide what is your purpose in life. People do not decide the purpose. They seek for the campus, they get selected, they join the industry, then they start studying about the next course in their life. If he is an engineer, he will start studying or taking coaching about MBA. He is an MBA, he will start focusing on how to go to abroad. So all those things are there. So then you will be double mind once in industry. So decide your purpose, bigger purpose, larger purpose, what you want to be in life, and then decide the kind of industry, kind of organization you would like to join. Because you are wasting both your time as well as the industry's time. Industry will invest a lot on the young engineers and young managers at the early phase of life. Like Aditya will have to go for a 1 year training course, 1 year internship further. So 3 stints at 3 different locations for 3 different projects. we put all MBAs or engineers. And they will travel all around the world. Not only in India, they will travel to overseas in America, they will travel to other countries, Egypt, etc. to learn things and learn cultures so that you can be deployed anywhere. So that purpose will help you decide whether to waste your time or time or not. And then I must say, apart from your academics, pick up and develop behaviors yourself, desired behaviors in your organization setup. Start building yourself as a team member, how you lead a team, how you work in a team, how should you communicate, how, as I said, how should you behave, all those aspects have to be looked into. So while during the campus, myself, I do not ask much about the technical side. I ask you about the purpose in life. What are your hobbies? How do you develop that? How do you keep yourself motivated? What gives you the kick? All those aspects I ask. I do not ask anything about the technical or the academic side. Because you want the best fit for industry. It grows you, it helps industry also to grow organically. That's in brief. And certainly coming to my point.
Thank you. That's really useful because it's a matter of time and before which everybody in this room, every student is going to get into the workforce, and therefore how does it reason for themselves, right? And as well as the company. Yeah, you mentioned something interesting about unlearning that you yourself did, right? What would you recommend for students here that they should potentially look at how do they go about the process of unlearning? All of us come with a certain thought process. It's easy to say we should, but the more difficult one is how. So would look at your inputs to the students here as how should they, and what kind of aspects that they should focus on.
So, when you come to the corporate, you learn a lot of technical things during your education. However, technical skills are good because the corporate requires that at one point of time, but technology keeps on changing. So 1 year, 2 year, whatever you studied in MBA is will be actually irrelevant. I don't even remember the subjects in my MBA. So it becomes irrelevant. What is more important for you guys is like school of life, which is more important. I was talking about adaptability, work ethics. These are the two skills which is required, but school of life is like how soon can you learn, how soon can you unlearn, do you know yourself or not? Knowing yourself is very important. How authentic you are. So everything technical, yes, but school of life I would say is more important, as in if you want to quick up the journey of a corporate life, and that's it.
Thanks, yeah. Again, there was something very interesting that you said in the firm about knowing technology. Now, many of the students here may be going to strategy functions, marketing functions, finance, and perhaps consulting, technology, these areas. Right? And when you get into those functions, it may not be easy for them to keep abreast with what's happening on the technology side. Right? Easier when they are on campus. How would you recommend that they go about it, building those right from now and into their work?
Okay. So probably I'll step a little bit step back, and one very important aspect that we observe, and people who actually come from campus is that so you're part of a great institution, right? You've got a good name, it's got a good brand. But yes, what's also happening is the kind of roles that you get. One is that, of course, there'll be very many, candidates, people who join in. But the kind of roles, the kind of projects that you get is based on the differentiator that you bring. The kind of understanding and the continuous learning that you have got during your college time, not necessarily your scholastic areas. When we are talking about scholastic, your projects, which are defined by your college. Apart from that, you'll keep doing your own learning on the side. So we find people, students who have been doing continuous projects during their college time throughout their period. Like for example, they'll be on some project or other. Not necessarily they wait for the project time, but they continuously it could be online project, it could be remote project, which they pick up based on their own networking. They really do very well when they come to work, because they have got multiple exposures and they are in the habit of learning, continuous learning, because of the kind of exposure to multiple kinds of projects. So, and also what happens is, out of the way, so now there are so many learning platforms. So, of course, when you look at all the new technologies which are coming, you get them in the, whether it is Coursera, whether it is so many other, Udemy, I find them keeping on doing a lot of, sessions online. I mean that really differentiates some of them from the other, because whether they have finished that course or not, I mean diligently, at least they've got some kind, they've picked up at least 40% of what they have gone through. So that is one part of it, apart from the fact that when they're at work, they'll be doing strategy and all of that, but please understand that technology, analytics, all of this is just given. This is going to be part of whatever role that you are in. Whether you are in marketing, whether you are in strategy, all of that. It's just like knowing Microsoft Office. I mean, without MS Word and MS Excel, you can't be doing anything, right? So when you come to work, understanding different kind of technology, what are the things which are there, and also being adaptive of them. You have to do it out of the way, possibly. The organization will provide all of that. But how do you bring the differentiator that you are picked up for the next good assignment or next good project? So we find those things so self-learning is very, very important, and continuous learning. So that's the key mark.
Thanks for that, Jayant. I will come back to you work in an industry where the tolerance levels for deviation is practically zero. Right? You can't afford, and that's ingrained in your ways of working for all your people. Right? What is it that students can learn to get everything first time right? Because in the business that you are in, it has to be first time right, and every time. What is it that you would recommend that the students adapt for themselves, that whatever that they are doing, it's always the first time right, and that's where we can.
Thank you. I'll talk about 3-4 things. First is, I'll give you that you need to reach out. Now let me tell you what do I mean by reach. R stands for resilience. E stands for empathy. A is for authenticity. C is for courage. H is for honesty and humility. Does a student have a reach attitude? When I say reach, you need to have all spreads. Second thing is, this is a world which is, there are 100 students in a classroom. Let me tell you, your degree will be kept in the cupboard. IIM degree. It's you who's moving to the work field, not your degree. Unless and until you prove it, nobody knows that it's written here at IIM Sambalpur or any of the IIMs. So you need to have a framework of 3C and 3S. Connect, communicate, and collaborate. This is 3C. What it will help you and how it's going to help you is with 3S. Say, stay, and strive in the organization. Right? Now let me give a small example of what I'm trying to refer here. This is a short story where the person was boarding the cab, and suddenly he realized the person who was driving the car is around 60 years of age. So he asked him, "आप लग रहे हैं educated हैं, आप Uber क्यों चला रहे हैं?" He said, "I retired from my job, but I didn't retire from my responsibilities." Point number one. Point number two, Uber didn't look at my age; they looked at my skill set, and I know driving. So I'm good at driving. So they said that since you have the skill set, we're ready to take you. So focus on your skill set. Third is personal branding. How do I know you? Today in the world of so many people, how do you stand out? How do you ensure that you are able to contribute in a very positive way? And next thing is the belief that you need to have. Now, what do I refer by belief? For example, you are going to a temple. When you are going to a temple, you are carrying a coconut, a flower. And let's say Jaya asked me, she said, "Kya leke ja rahe ho?" I'm taking coconut and flower. While I'm coming back from the temple, she asked me, "Kya hai isme?" I said, "Prasad." So the coconut and flower has now turned into prasad. Right? So the belief system has changed. So you need to keep believing in yourself that I am the best. Every day get up in the morning and say that I am the best in the world. I am the best who can make a difference. So I think that belief system is required. And next is continuous learning, knowledge, skill set, attitude plays a pivotal role in the corporate world. At last but not the least, what I like to end by saying that if you talk about organizations, well, let's say you order pizza. You said that 30 minutes is delivered, it's free, right? So when you're talking about skill set, the process also has to change. And when I'm talking about process, I'm talking about from an individual standpoint now. You need to build your own capability. Second, you need to develop your own capability. Then only you can impact organizational capability. So you need to keep working, and honing up your skills every now and then. I think that is what is going to play a very pivotal role when you step from a corporate, from a campus to corporate. Thank you.
Couple of years back, attending a similar session on advice from somebody from the panel, I decided I would reduce the non-office time on my mobile by 50%. Did it help me? Well, I managed to finish an executive course from INSEAD on digital strategy, and I managed to finish a course on artificial intelligence from Kellogg. Each of it required a fair amount of dedication of time, which I thought I did not have. The only one thing that changed is cut down the time I was spending on non-office work on mobile by about 50 or 60%. So if there is one change that I would think you could make, which helped me, is redirect the time that you spend on mobile to taking up any of the MOOC courses. And we have got outstanding MOOC courses out there. Look at that, either edX, Coursera. Make it a point to complete those courses and you will see the difference. With that, perhaps I will close the session. Thank you all for the time and the invitation.
Thank you, everyone. I extend my deepest gratitude for all of your invaluable contributions to the CHRO panel discussion today. It was an honor to have such distinguished HR leaders like yourselves driving the conversations, providing valuable insights into the challenges and opportunities presented by Industry 4.0. All of your commitment to the advancing field of human resource management is truly commendable. I would now request Professor Surendra Rao to felicitate our guests. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone, for your time, dedication, and the wealth of knowledge you brought to the discussion today. We look forward to the possibility of future collaborations and a continued dialogue. We will now move ahead with the lunch break. I request all the dignitaries on and off the dais, faculty members, and participants to move to the community hall for the lunch. Students are requested to move to the mess for the same. Thank you, everyone. You have a good afternoon.
ପ୍ରୋଗ୍ରେସ୍ ଦରକାର ଥିଲା ଯେ ଆଜି ସକାଳେ ଯେଉଁ ଉଠୁଥିଲ ଏଇଟା ହେଇଯାଇଥିଲା ନା କାଲିର କାଲିର ସେ ଆମ ଡାଇରେକ୍ଟର ସମ୍ବଲପୁର ଏମସିଏଲ୍ ହଁ ସେ ଏମସିଏଲ୍ ଅଛ ଏଇ ଫଟୋ ଦୁଇ ତିନି ଦେଇ ହେବ
डाटा कॉपी कालीरोटा ये IIM का उसमें
वेबसाइट
वेबसाइट लागू किया है उसमें पता नहीं वो भी पता है वाइट सर जो है ना उनको पता
तो उनको पूछ लेते हैं
मतलब फोन कर যাব না তিন তিনজন टाटा के बात कर लिया तो कैसे कर लीजिए जो
टाटा का सब ऑफिस में यहाँ कुछ नहीं कौन करूँ
ये डॉक्टर ना है
हेलो 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 हेलो